Okay, let's dive straight into Ezekiel chapter 6. This is uh, quite an intense piece of prophecy,
It really is. Right from the start, you get this very stern message of judgment. It's directed squarely at the mountains of Israel.
which basically means the whole land, the people living there.
Exactly. For their practices, specifically their idolatry.
So our mission here, let's say, is to really unpack this chapter for you. What's the core message? Why such a severe judgment?
Hmm.
How far does it reach? And crucially, is there anyone left out? Is there an exception?
Right. And the central conflict is laid out pretty clearly. It's the people turning away, chasing idols, versus the consequences brought by the sovereign Lord.
Okay, so let's dig in. The prophecy names specific targets, doesn't it?
It does. It's very grounded. It calls out the mountains, the hills, the ravines, the valleys, not just abstract concepts.
And the action, a sword brought against them.
Yeah, a sword against the land itself. Then it gets into what happens to the places of worship.
The high places, the altars.
Demolished, laid waste, the incense altars. Smashed, broken down,
And the idols themselves.
smashed and ruined. It says, what you have made wiped out. Total destruction of the idolatrous infrastructure, you could say.
And it's not just the places, tragically. What about the people?
No, the people face dire consequences. They will fall slain.
It mentions their dead bodies being laid right in front of those broken idols.
Yes, and their bones scattered around your altars. It's a really stark image. Even the towns get laid waste.
And through all this devastation, there's this phrase that keeps coming up.
The purpose.
Yeah, the purpose. It says, and you will know that I am the Lord.
Over and over again. Verse 7, verse 10, 13, 14, it's hammered home.
So the judgment isn't just like random punishment. It's explicitly tied to this forced recognition.
That's exactly how it's framed. This intense experience leads to knowing the Lord.
But then there's that slight shift, that exception you mentioned earlier.
Right. I will spare some. A remnant.
Who are they? What happens to them?
They're the ones who escape the sword, who end up scattered among the lands and nations. But survival isn't the end of the story for them.
No, it's what happens next that seems key.
Precisely. In captivity, they remember me, they grieve,
It talks about their adulterous hearts and eyes lusting after idols.
and they loathe themselves for the evil they have done. It's this profound internal reckoning, this deep sense of remorse and self-awareness born out of their experience.
The text even details how the judgment plays out, doesn't it?
Yes.
Sword, famine, plague.
Yes, and it connects the type of death to location. Far away, plague, near, sword, survivors of those, famine.
And it specifically mentions these judgments happening in the very places they committed idolatry.
On the high hills, mountaintops, under those green trees, the judgment mirrors the sin, location-wise.
And the end result for the land.
A desolate waste from the desert to Diblah, utter ruin.
And then one last time.
Then they will know that I am the Lord. It bookends the whole description of the desolation.
So pulling these threads together, you see this direct line drawn. Specific actions, idolatry on high places.
Lead directly to these specific devastating consequences for the land and the people. And the ultimate point, repeated constantly, is achieving this state of knowing the Lord through it all.
It really is intense language. That command later on, strike your hands together and stamp your feet and cry out alas, it's visceral.
Absolutely.
And thinking about that remnant, their survival isn't just luck. It's tied to this incredibly painful internal process, remembering, grieving, loathing themselves. That's a heavy path.
It really is. And it raises questions, doesn't it, about how hardship can lead to a kind of transformation. The external scattering seems directly linked to this internal remembrance and change.
It suggests that knowing here isn't just intellectual. It's something deeper, felt, learned through suffering and loss.
A recognition forged in the crucible of judgment, leading to a complete shift in self-understanding.
So, to sum up our deep dive into Ezekiel 6, it's a stark prophecy. Severe judgment for idolatry, leading to destruction, death, scattering.
All explicitly intended so the people know that I am the Lord.
With this small remnant spared, not just physically, but spared to undergo this profound internal change, remembering and grieving their past.
Yeah, the power of the text is that direct link. Actions, consequences, and this specific kind of difficult understanding emerging from it.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you, our listener. Consider that insistence. You will know that I am the Lord, specifically through this kind of overwhelming judgment. What does that really imply about the nature of recognition? And how might that challenge the ways we typically think about learning or understanding consequences today? Something to reflect on.